Welcome back to the Spirit of Health Creed. We're going to go over creeds 8, 7, and 6, again, working our way backwards to 1. So creed number 8 is we believe cleansing and detoxification is the key to purification and restoration of the temple. So of course, this is the temple of the living God, and we are believing that cleansing and detoxification is key and it is crucial. And it's that concept of God designed us to be clean, holy beings. And so clean versus unclean. We can have all kinds of uncleanness in us related to our physical health, related to toxic thoughts and emotions, and demonic oppression. We can have spiritual toxicity as well. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures. I believe that removing toxins from the body is key to healing. And again, that's in all of those different aspects. The Lord, for whatever reason, has really highlighted physical healing to me. I think that's something that's misunderstood or taken lightly or not seen as something crucial, especially within Christian circles. And so I really feel like that's important to understand the importance of physical health and how it interacts and makes a difference related to the health of our mind and even our spiritual walks. So 1 Corinthians 3, 16 and 17, this is a really intense scripture. I'd love for you to dive further into this sometimes, but it says, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him. For God's temple is holy, and you are that temple." That's an amazing scripture. I have meditated on that scripture many times over the years. I've never heard a Sunday service preached on that scripture. I mean, this is our holy temples, and God says, take care of it, or he's going to destroy us. I don't know what that means. That's pretty intense. I know God's an amazing, loving God, but somehow in there, he's clearly relaying the importance of this temple that's God's. And we're made in his image, and we're to take care of it and steward it well, and that it matters. And one of my favorite scriptures, I'm going to read 2 Corinthians 7:1, because I feel like this is really a good scripture related to detoxification and cleansing. Like Paul said to cleanse our bodies. That's fascinating. All right, so 2 Corinthians 7:1, "Since we have these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from every defilement of body and spirit, bringing holiness to completion in the fear of God." In another translation, it says to cleanse ourselves of all filthiness of flesh and spirit. So what does Paul mean by cleansing ourselves of all filthiness of flesh and spirit? There's another scripture in Romans that says, "Do not let sin reign in your mortal bodies." What does that mean? So I believe that our bodies are toxic. I believe that our bodies are poisoned. I believe it's man that is mainly the cause of that toxicity and poisoning of our world. It's no surprise today. You don't have to look far to look what's happening with modern medicine, the pharmaceutical industry, the chemical industry, the food industry. It is not great out there. God bless all of you who are farmers and gardeners and who are growing your own food and who have animals. We need you. We need you. We need you. So cleansing and detoxification is key to the purification and the restoration of the temple. If our bodies become polluted, we will not be well. We will not function to the fullness of the capacity God created us to live. We are not designed to be diagnosed with a sickness or disease. We are not diagnosed to be struggling with our health. None of us can outrun death completely. But I do believe that in good alignment with creation, that we can live long, healthy, prosperous lives devoid of sickness and disease, chronic illness. And yeah, we might die of old age, but let's die of old age, not heart disease and heart attacks and strokes and cancer and diabetes and on and on and on. That was never God's intention. So cleansing and detoxification is absolutely key. That has been my focus for 15 years of Spirit of Health. It's been the main highlight. Cleansing parasites out of people's bodies, cleansing fungus, heavy metals, radioactive elements, man-made chemical toxins, herbicides, pesticides, solvents. The list goes on. Toxins and poisons in the body keep the body from functioning the way God designed the body to function. And if you clean out those toxins and poisons, you can and will be well. Your diagnosis is a set of symptoms. Doesn't tell you anything. The reason you're sick are the things I'm talking to you about right now. You have to cleanse. If you're listening to this and you're struggling with your health in any way, shape, or form, and you've been struggling with chronic illness for years and years, give us a call. Get some lab testing. Get the root cause of why you're not well. Yeah, it might not be just physical. It might be from the trauma from your past. It might be from demonic torment. I don't know. I'm going to explore those things. I do it with people all the time. You'd be blown away at the conversations I've had with people in my consultations. That's not always just about physical health. I really try to be led by the Spirit. So let's move on to number 7. We believe God has given us all medicine needed for health and healing. And God's so good. Like, He made it all, and He made a garden. And here's the image I want to give people. Do we believe this, that God's given us all the medicine and everything we need for health and healing? That's all we've had for 7,000 years of human history. It's only the last 150 years that we created a man-made chemical-based industry. To me, man-made drugs are alternative medicine. Natural health is not alternative medicine. Natural health is God-given 7,000 years of proven historical medicine. So I'm going to encourage you to use what God created, not use the alternative medicine, which is a man-made, coal tar, petrochemical-based system of medicine. So God gave us everything we need. Let's start in Genesis, right? Let's go all the way back to creation, the creation story. Genesis 1:29 through 31 says, "And God blessed them, and He said to them, 'Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion.' And God said, 'Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food.'" That's what our food was supposed to be. "And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. And God saw everything that He had made, and behold, it was very good, very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day. So God gave us everything we needed. He created it in a garden. He said, "Steward this garden, and you'll be well." And we've done that to some extent. And we've also gone completely the way of man to some extent as well. It really is my heart, my passion, and my desire to get people off of a man-made system of medicine and back onto trusting God for medicine. I'm going to just give you a quick visual in your mind. I want to picture the Garden of Eden in our mind. Picture how perfect it would have been when God actually created it. Now picture the beauty of nature and creation and everything God gave for us. Now in that same image, I want you to now see a man standing there with a white lab coat, holding a needle, and within that needle is polysorbate 80, synthetic chemicals, formaldehyde, man-made synthetics like glyphosate, which is an herbicide, that are in these things, monkey brains, maybe a chicken embryo, maybe aborted human fetal tissue, and the list goes on, and then that is going to be put into a person and called medicine. And compare that to what God created and intended for us from the beginning and said, it is good. So I really believe that God gave us everything that we needed and said it was good. And I believe we've really strayed from that. And I strongly implore for people to, hey, let's move back there. Like, that's still available to us. God doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So I also want to read in Ezekiel to you, if that's okay. This is about what our food and our medicine should look like. This is also in Revelation. But in Ezekiel 47:12, it says, "And on the banks on both sides of the river there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for healing." So right there, leaves of the trees are to be ours for healing. Fruit of the trees is to be ours for food. So God gave us everything we needed. And it's here, it's available now. It's much harder to come by than it used to be, because we used to have the vast majority of the human population farming, and now the statistic is frightening that less than 1% of people in America farm. It was only about 70 years ago that over 50% of people were still farming, and now it's 1%. So sadly, we've made it very hard to get the right things that we need. But I believe that it's still available. God is a healer. Food is healing. Water's healing. Sunshine's healing. The leaves of the trees are healing. Herbs that he gave us that grow out of this ground are for our healing. And I believe that's a better way. I believe that that's a higher path. I believe that's the ancient path, and that God is just waiting for us to get back on board and trust him and his creation for our health and for our healing. So that brings me to creed number 6. And number 6 is, we believe the body understands the intelligence of God's creation over man-made synthetics. This one's fun, because I love to just look at things logically. How did God create and design the human body? How do we know, for thousands of years of research and study and evidence, anecdotally, and now scientifically proven, that specific herbs are good for specific parts of the body? Why is hawthorn good for the heart? Juniper berries and nettle good for the kidneys? Why is milk thistle amazing for the liver? Why are bilberries great for the eyes? And on down the list. And we know this because God created plants for the service of mankind. And plants as medicine work synergistically with the body that God created and designed. And that's what he intended to be medicine, and he never intended anything else to be medicine outside of his creation. So keep this in mind. When you take a synthetic, man-made pharmaceutical drug, you are playing with chemistry. So let's capture this logic here. God is the chemist. So every plant he made, every food he made, the chemistry therein, based off of God's intelligent design, was made for the human body, and it is designed to work in the human body a very specific way based off of how God created it to be. That's why natural medicine works, because it works with God, with creation. When you take chemistry in a laboratory and you take coal tar, and this was started by the Rockefellers 150-ish years ago, where they started taking oil, petroleum, messing with chemistry, molecularly changing things to turn it into a drug to force an action on the human body. You've removed God's intelligence. You've removed God's design. You've made it man's creation. And that petrochemical is going to force an action on the body whether you like it or not. Whereas God never forces himself on us. We take an herb or a plant and it's going to help us, it's going to heal us, or it's not what we need and it's not going to do anything, but it's not going to harm us. You take a man-made pharmaceutical drug, it is forcing a very strong action on the body, which is why they all have a very, very long list of negative side effects. Because in essence, they're actually toxins, they're actually poisons to the human body. And the body's actually trying to remove them any possible way it can because it's not of God's design. Now, is it doing something? Yes. Chemistry will do something. But whose chemistry do you trust? Whose chemistry are we using? That's the question. So, herbs work, plants work, food that God created work synergistically with the human body he created. It was always his intention, and he never desired that to ever change. What he hoped is that we would learn these things, we would discover these things. And in discovering and using nature, we would discover God, like it talks about in Romans chapter 1. That by the invisible things, they're clearly seen so that we are without excuse. So, we believe the body understands the intelligence of God's creation over man-made synthetics. And I'm going to leave you with Revelation. Because who doesn't get excited about reading Revelation? That's kind of a joke. All right, Revelation 18, verse 23. And the light of a lamp will shine in you no more, and the voice of bridegroom and bride will be heard in you no more. For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, and all nations were deceived by your sorcery. Sorcery in Greek means pharmakia, which is where pharmacy and pharmaceutical came from. And the nations are right now and will be continued to be deceived by man-made sorcery. So this is a call. This is a real, legitimate, from the heart call to abstain, separate, remove ourselves from the man-made sorcery of this world and to move on to God's healing system of creation, design, nature, sunshine, water, food, herbs, plants, etc. I know it's not easy. I know you may have lived your whole life learning and believing certain things based on how you were raised or the system in which you were raised. But I truly, truly believe that God is calling us back to Him so that we are reliant and dependent on Him and not any man-made system that this world has to offer. So tune in the next video when we'll go over 3 more of the Spirit of Health creeds.